from everything we've heard tonight, he's just been granted bail, 2 million cedis, a landed property, and of course he has to report to the police. But he's going to be spending another night at least behind bars because, as we've just heard, the registry is confirming the authenticity of the documents and the land. Is that the normal procedure?
Yes, that's basic. Unless you are granted self-recognizance, which there's perhaps no such condition as surety, and a surety to be justified to it. In the circumstances where the bail condition is, I understand, two sureties, one to be justified. So the one that is without justification, the police officer, the prosecutor, or the investigator responsible for the case has a duty or responsibility to ascertain the identity and the competence of the surety. They will simply take the person to their home, confirm that they have a place of abode, and then by taking their ID card to confirm the identity properly, that is done. The other part, which I suppose might take some time, and sometimes there are officers who are deliberate in seeking to frustrate the process. And there's a way the court can either compel them or seek some form of punishment for such officers. Has to do with what you just mentioned is going on now. They clearly have to ascertain that the property that is being used is property that is worthy in satisfaction of the condition. And normally they will check if it's a landed property, they will check with the Lands Commission, the person who is holding the documents as the deed, the title deeds, whether they in fact are the owners of the property, because we have professional sureties around the place, bail people. Some of them are lurking around the courts, just getting ready to give bail to anybody at all at a certain amount.
So clearly, what is happening right now, and until the court registers. So explain this to me. So in terms of verifying the bail conditions, etc., the process is not that within the police's jurisdiction, is that of the courts, correct?
By the Police Service Instructions 177, Part 11, it is sometimes there's a tug of war, as the learned, jurist Dennis J has taught us, between the registrar of the court that granted the bail and the police investigator as to whose job it is. But he clarifies that because he's such an authority on it. He clarifies that and says that if you read the police service instruction I referred to, it is the responsibility of the prosecutor or investigator who is responsible for that case to ascertain the identity and competence of the surety. So it's a basic process, except that I'm hearing sometimes you may not be able to confirm properly, but the rumor, as we just heard, is that they took him there and the investigator cannot be found or something like that. There are situations where some officers are deliberate. The ones who are supposed to process, they vanish, so that they say, "Oh, we can't find the officer." Before you say Jack, the day is gone and the person is put back into custody, and that is clearly not right. When there's a clear attempt to frustrate the process, the position of the law is that the person who is responsible for such a conduct must be reported immediately to the presiding judge, and the judge may deal with that police officer by ordering them to comply with the order that the court has made, or report the conduct of the officer to their superiors for discipline.
As it stands now, we also understand from the police that they are going to hold him only because the court registry had instructed so until the court registry receives the confirmation from the Lands Commission. But I think you've clarified that the prosecutor should wholly be in charge of this process.
Yes, and when the investigator or the prosecutor who is uh, investigating the background of the surety is done, they are supposed to report their findings back to the court so that the court is able to use that process to make the decision as to whether the person who is seeking to stand surety is worthy. But often this has been where you find that there is genuineness, there is no attempt at foul play and the rest of them. It becomes such an easy process that nobody, get to have a complaint about. But on a few occasions where, somebody wants to show somebody where power lies, they will abuse the process, and then before you say jack, the day is gone and you are still in there.